morning and welcome to Wisdom on Wednesday. I'm going to be giving you guys a couple of tips today on interviews, and I'm going to go through them kind of quickly, but you can always listen again if you don't catch all of them. The first thing is that make sure that you arrive a couple of minutes early for your interview. It's really important to be punctual. There's a great saying, which is that to be on time is to be late. What comes before that is to be early is to be on time. So I'm going to say that again. To be early is to be on time. To be on time is to be late. Punctuality is a very important work skill, and you want to demonstrate that you have that, and you also want to get there and get comfortable before you have to just walk right through the door and go into an interview. Another thing is that you can make a really good impression by connecting with the receptionist, whoever it is that greets you at the company, and smiling and being respectful and connecting with that person is the first step to being considered for a position. And there's going to probably be a conversation between that greeting human being and whoever it is that is actually interviewing you. And so you want to make a really great impression when you first walk in the door. As far as what you should wear, it's very important that you dress one step up from the way you would be dressing if you actually got that job. And so you got to kind of do your research a little bit and find out what would be the expected attire for someone in the position that you are applying for. And then you should be a little bit more formal than that. It shows that you have respect for that particular opportunity to come and have this conversation in the interview. All right, another thing is do not wear cologne or perfume. Just leave it off, put some deodorant on, make sure you don't smell bad, make sure that you are clean and very well groomed. You should have your fingernails, sort of looking nice. They don't have to be painted. Guys, just make sure they're clean and trimmed. And you want to make sure that your hygiene is excellent, but you don't want to have someone be noticing how you smell. So do not wear perfume or cologne. It's also a good idea to kind of tone the jewelry down and not be very flashy with the way that you're looking, because you want to keep the focus on the content of what you're saying in that interview. When you get in the room, the first thing that you should do as you're meeting the person or as they come out to greet you is have a really good handshake. A nice, firm, solid handshake. Don't squeeze their hands super hard, but a nice firm handshake. And while you're shaking their hands, make sure you look in the eyes and that you smile. And actually from the beginning of the interview until the end of the interview, it's really important that you come across as friendly, as positive, and so make sure that you smile. Okay, next, this is really important. Have some stories ready to tell. Many times people will go through an entire interview and just give information. And information is good, and you need to be ready with that as well. But weaving in a couple of stories that really illustrate that idea that you were trying to communicate is going to be more memorable, and it is going to show you in action. And what you really want is you want your interviewer to be able to imagine you doing the job. And they can make the translation, even if the story that you're telling is about a different job in a totally different setting, doing a totally different thing. It's very easy for somebody to imagine you applying the principles of behavior and the work ethic and the way of dealing with people that you're describing in this one particular context to another context. And so trust them to be able to do that. And don't be afraid that it's going to feel irrelevant, but also make sure you keep your story succinct. Don't go off on a tangent and just tell this super long story. But it's really great if you can tell a story or maybe two. Here's another tip. Know as much as you can about the company that you are interviewing with. Know their mission statement, know their history, know the kinds of clients that they work with or their approach within whatever realm it is that they operate in. And if you can go in there and speak their language and show that you understand them, and that you have done your due diligence in trying to understand what it would be like to work there and why you might be a good fit, that is very important. Another tip, make sure you know why. Relates to what I just said a second ago, but why do you want to work there? You need to make sure you communicate that multiple times during the interview. And if there isn't a question that directly says, why do you want to work here? Then before you walk out of that door, there's two things you need to do. Number one, make sure that you tell them that you do want to work there. It seems so obvious and so basic. obviously, if you took that interview, you want to work there. It's not true. You might be taking that interview because you want interview experience, or maybe you didn't really know what you were getting yourself into, or maybe you're kind of just like, yeah, whatever, if I get the job or if I don't get the job, that's cool. If you want them to give you that job, you need to tell them directly, I'm really interested in working here. I hope I hear from you very soon because I want this job and I think it would be a great fit. Make sure that you directly and clearly state that you want the job. And then the second thing that I wanted to get to here is that sometimes there are some other things about you that are really crucial to who you are as a worker, crucial to what you bring to that company. It might not even be specific skills. It might have to do with your personality or the way that you approach work. And so I would suggest that you have 3 things about yourself that some way or another in the course of that interview, you know you're going to try to get across. And if you don't have the opportunity, again, during the specific questions that they ask, there's almost always going to be this moment at the end of the interview where they're going to say to you, hey, is there anything that you want to ask us? And you should have a question prepared. You should probably have 2 questions prepared. And I would recommend that one of them is about what it's like to collaborate on that team and how people work together and whether there's a good vibe among the workers. And if it's a team atmosphere and a positive atmosphere, that would be a good one. And then the other one might have to do with the nature of the job or some other aspect. Never, ever ask them about benefits in an interview. You never ask about benefits until later if you're offered the job. So don't ask about pay, don't ask about benefits. But once you've asked those questions, you also sort of still have the floor. Now's your opportunity. Also, I just want to make sure before I go that I tell you a couple other things about me that I hope you will consider when you're deciding whom you want to hire. I want you to know that that's your first thing. Oh, and another thing, you might have noticed when I was telling the story about blah, 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 this aspect. And here, what am I doing? I'm popping out the message, the theme, the thing I wanted them to get out of that story. Maybe they got it already, then you're reinforcing it. Maybe they didn't realize that what you were trying to show is that you're good at working with people, or that you're really passionate, or that even when you're having a bad day, that you can still be productive. You use this opportunity at the end of the interview to get 2 or 3 things about yourself across as a kind of a capstone to your communication to the person that you're interviewing with. All right, I'm going to end with one more tip, and it's really important. You need to come across as being physically comfortable. And so when you get to that interview, don't sit back in the chair and be all chill. No, you need to sit up straight, make sure that you're looking right at the person. You want to kind of lean in and definitely use gestures. There is this amazing documentary that I watched many years ago where they videotaped thousands of hours of interviews. And they were trying to figure out what is it that happens in an interview when both the interviewer and the interviewee leave and say, yeah, we really gelled, or there was good chemistry. And the absolute finding of this study was that when people said there was good chemistry and that the interview really went well and that they felt great about it, is that you could see almost like this ballet, I'm going to say, or this physical interaction where one person would lead in and gesture and the other person would respond, and then somebody would react physically like this, and then the other person would react. And this is how we communicate in real life. We use our hands, we use our faces, we look at each other, and we connect physically in this sort of back and forth thing. And so if you can get there and get yourself situated and just feel comfortable in that atmosphere of that interview and be yourself, and use hand gestures and smile and be expressive with your face, other people will mirror that back to you. If you're nervous and super uptight or you're sitting back kind of cowering, people are going to mirror that back to you. And so bring some energy, use your voice, and tell those stories and be animated. If that's not you to be animated, you can't be someone you're not. But you can always be confident. You can always try to find a way to be comfortable. Make sure you're breathing, take some deep breaths. If they ask you a question that you're not sure how to answer, say, that's a really good question. Let me think about that for a second. And don't be afraid to just kind of pause and think through it and then give your answer. There's no reason why you have to be terrified in an interview. The person is there because they're interested in you. And you're there because you're interested in possibly joining them and working for them. So enjoy the conversation. And if it doesn't work out that that's a good fit, you are getting a great experience of learning how to be better at interviewing, and you've made a connection. Maybe they aren't going to give you that job right now. That's okay, but you never know if later they might either work somewhere else and hire you, or you might apply for a different job that would be a better fit. So just kind of surrender to this idea of, I'm going to go in there, I'm going to give it my all, I'm going to be myself, I'm going to be confident, I'm going to see if this is a good fit for me. And if it's a great fit for both of us, then wonderful, this is the job that I'm going to take. I wish you the best of luck as you go out and interview, and I hope that you get the exact job that you are looking for.